What's up, guys? It's Serge, and today we're going to talk about how to write a progressive metal song. Cool, so today I'm going to dive into how I write progressive metal songs and how I use Ableton recording software, how I use MIDI to write some stuff. So a lot of ideas that I come up with, a lot of ideas will start on guitar, and then I do have a lot of ideas that I just write with MIDI at first. So as you can see, I have a bunch of MIDI tracks here for lead guitar, bass, drums. The drums in the actual recording are MIDI as well. This is for my song Noi off my latest EP. So let's dive into it. So I started with a guitar riff that I believe is 10 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. And it's in the key of E minor. I started the song out with this riff and I tap it. I actually wrote that in MIDI first, so let's see what it sounds like in MIDI. So the thing in this kind of music is that you can start with any sort of riff that has any combination of notes. It could have 9 notes, 5 notes, whatever. And it'll just keep repeating itself no matter what time signature. So I'm not like the best at writing drum parts, but I do have a little bit of an idea of like what I want to hear. So I thought I would just throw in a 5/4 polyrhythm between the kick and the crash. So I have the kick down here and then I have the crash up here. And so if you listen to just the kick and the crash, you'll hear a 5/4 polyrhythm. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing to start out with. And then I just kind of added the snare just anywhere, kind of. So right here is just like the general chord progression to the beginning. And it's basically following what the drum pattern is. So if we solo that. Oh, that tone. I love it. So if we just listen to that against the drum track. And then right here in this transition, it does a couple measures of the polyrhythm, but then it goes just to a 5/4. So after all that tapping stuff, then I have this little lead part that's like dee nee 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 nee, and I have that going from the beginning to the key change that I have coming up. So we listen to the transition of it. And yeah, sometimes when I'm recording stuff, I'm just pretty lazy, so I'll just like record the part and then I'll just like repeat it if I needed to repeat it. I actually can play the part, but sometimes I'm just lazy, and yeah. So from this section here, I go from E minor to B minor, but I still keep that lead part in there because it fits in both keys. They have the same notes. So preceding that little modulation from E minor to B minor, I go back to E minor for this. And I kind of do this thing where I'm picking the G string, but I'm tapping the lower parts of the progression. So it sounds like. It's a cool thing. I don't know. And I keep that going for a little bit, and then I bring back the initial riff that came in, but I just change it an octave higher, so it sounds like this. Here's the riff. Usually what I would do for something like that, if I wasn't mixing the tracks officially, my friend Vince did, but if I was mixing this, I would automate that snare to make it crescendo from soft to loud. Then I add in a guitar solo here. And if I solo that guitar track, then you'll notice that I put a little chorus on it. Yep, threw a little chorus on the end of it. And what I should have done is I should have put the chorus before the compressor and the EQ, but, you know, sometimes I just play around. And believe it or not, I actually wrote that solo in MIDI first, and then I learned how to play it. It sounds like this. At least the first half I wrote in MIDI. Then preceding that solo, I decide to change from an E minor tonality to an E melodic minor. So I'm changing a couple notes. So E minor, natural minor, has E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, and D in the scale. With melodic minor, you just change the 6th and the 7th degree up a half step. So you'd have E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. And if I was using all the notes that I just explained in melodic minor, we have pretty much everything here. G, 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 F sharp, E, D sharp, F sharp, B. So all the rules. So on this top track up here, I added the melody. And then here is the chord progression behind it, but I didn't make it just blocked chords. I made them kind of arpeggiated. So it sounds like this. So yep, I'm using every note in that E melodic minor scale and building my progressions off of that. Next up, we have a key change, another modulation. We're going back to B minor. Except in the chord progression, I actually kind of borrowed a B major chord initially, but I bring that lick back that I had in the beginning. So that lick from the beginning is now in B minor. I just changed the key of it. And if we listen to the lead, decided just to keep it normal, no chorus on top of that. So if we listen to everything together, it sounds like this. Threw a couple strings in there because I like to add strings. Pretty much with all my rhythm tracking, I record guitar 4 times. It's really full. So the first couple guitars, I'll pan 100% left, 100% right. In this case, it says 50-50, but it's just like all the way left, all the way right. And then for the second, or for the third and fourth, I do like 75% left and right, and I just turn down the volume a little bit. It adds a really cool texture to it. So here we go from a compound meter feel to a simple meter feel. Let's see what that sounds like. So I went from that weird tapping riff to this part that's like da-na-na-na-na-na. It sounds cool when you kind of add in the drums and see what the drums kind of do to that riff. Let's see what it sounds like. Let's see what it sounds like with the actual instruments. Clipping a lot here. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. So I'll start off this section with just 3 power chords. And then I kind of have a melody that's going on in the rhythm track. So after the power chords, I go from the melody in the rhythm track, and then I change up the melody just a little bit, and then I palm mute it. Let's see what it sounds like. Let's see what it sounds like. Now, Ableton is like, I'm very used to it by now, and I really like using the software. The problem is that I can't figure out how to adjust the buffer settings of my program so that I don't have to basically record something and then like find the start of the sound wave and then move it over. And so basically all these little sections here is where I recorded this entire thing, but I had to move the clip to the beginning and end of the part. So I can't just like record it all the way through as in real time. Basically, I have to like record something because there's always going to be that little bit of lag that I have to go and fix. So it could just be like my computer. I'm not sure, but that's one thing that I have to kind of jump through with Ableton. To end that section off, I hold basically a G chord. So it sounds like this. So again, this is my way of modulating again secretly. I go from a G, which is in the key of B minor, which is adds as the 6th diatonic chord, and I'm going to the 3rd diatonic chord, G, in E minor, so I'm transitioning back to E minor right here. Secretly. Let's see what this whole section sounds like. I record most of my music with standard tuning on a 7-string, except I turn the B to a low A. And so I don't have a bass guitar that can go that low. So I don't have like a 5-string or anything. So I basically have to take my 4-string bass and detune it a whole octave down to get what I need. So then I try and combine the sound of the electronic bass and the real bass in my recording. So here is the very MIDI sounding bass. So it hits all the notes I want, but it's too MIDI sounding to me, so I try and combine it. Here's the not so pretty sounding real bass. Doesn't sound too bad, but then I'll just usually combine both of them and see if I can get a nice texture from it. Probably not the preferred way to record something, but I'm working on a budget. So first, I start with this melody in the guitar. If we're counting the time signature, we'll say that the beat here is the quarter note. So and we're at 140 beats per minute. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3, 3, 4. So you could basically say this is 13, or you could say it's 3, 3, 3, and 4. It doesn't matter. It sounds cool. I combine another melody with the guitar, and between the original melody and this other melody, there's a 4/3 polyrhythm that's happening. Let's see what that sounds like. The 4/3 polyrhythm's happening for these 3 sections here, and then for this, it's for the 4 measure, it's different, but I think it adds a really cool texture to it. The bass is just holding really long notes to move the chord progression along, so let's just solo the bass, see what that sounds like. Sounds interesting. Let's see what it sounds like with the 2 guitar melodies. Let's add the drums in there, and basically the kick is following what the bass is doing. Let's see what it sounds like with all the instruments. I added a string drone here, kind of just a G power chord, and then we add the major 7th in there, and it kind of gives it a G major 7th voicing. Sounds pretty eerie, dreamy, spacey, whatever you want. So guys, Stephanie just walked in. She's excited. I'm confused too. I don't know what's happening. Next in this song, we have this really weird guitar part that I wrote. Sounds like this. It's a weird part. Basically, on the bass guitar, we have this going. So it's basically an Aeolian progression. And then we switched back to E Aeolian or E minor. Let's see what that sounds like. So it's just kind of switching back and forth between A minor and E minor. Let's hear the whole track. I added a little guitar lead on top of that. Let's see what that sounds like. all the notes in that lead are in both A minor and E minor, so it works with both. Now we have this section that is the same exact chord progression, but I use a dirty tone on the guitar for it. Let's see what it sounds like. And then while that's happening, I decided to add a little piano part because piano is dope. Let's listen to the piano part. So that's the melody that I brought back from before, from the guitar part. Here's an E minor riff after that, but I borrowed the A sharp to give it a different feel. So let's see what that sounds like. Right there is where that A sharp kind of comes in. Because chromatics are cool. And then I kind of have this repeating guitar part. It was kind of the same thing as the last thing you heard, but it's just the beginning of it, just repeating. Let's see what that sounds like. Now let's see what it sounds like with all the instruments. And then while that's happening, I brought back again the same part from before. So a lot of this is kind of coming up with motifs, riffs, ideas, and then repeating them to kind of make the song like tell a story in a way. And then to tail on to the end of that lead part, I kind of added this little swell effect. To make it suspenseful. After that, we go into a 4/4 part. Four, it's cool. It's not proggy enough, but that's okay. After that, I added this clean lead part, which I actually borrowed from my song Mutt Cake, but I changed the key of it, obviously. Mutt Cake's in C sharp minor, this is in E minor. Actually, now I would say it's more like G major sounding, but they have the same notes. So it's kind of hard to tell what time signature you're in just listening to that alone, but if we listen to the whole shebang, recording. Okay. Now I can talk about my leg hair. Here's all my leg hair. And Stephanie's still here. We'll get through this. You guys know I love my string parts, so here's what the string part sounds like. So I basically have kind of a melody going on top here, but I also have the B following the chord progression and then the C at the end of it. So now we proceed to basically the same part, but now everything's distorted. I have the lead here, I have the rhythm here. It's essentially the same drum part, except I just went from hi-hat to crash. These aren't the drum samples that Vince used in the studio, so they're not going to sound amazing. The next part after that, the kick and snare are the same, but I went from the crash to the China, and then I made the China on all the ands of the measure. And then I also like to add toms kind of to transition in between phrases. I come back with that same riff at the end of it, just kind of change the chord progression around to end the song in the outro, and that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the song. I'll go through a couple of the sound effects that I kind of throw in there as well. So I have this kind of particles effect. Threw that in over kind of the middle section. See what that sounds like. It's pretty much just there to add texture. I also have this effect kind of coming in there. It's called light AN. I don't know. Let's solo it. Then I bring the particle back at the end. Kind of throw that in there. That is using the plugin Serum. If you guys don't have it, you should check it out. It's a very good soft synth. It's like $200, I think. Got a bunch of different oscillators, filters. You can choose and manipulate each one. You can choose and manipulate your envelopes. Has a lot of cool presets too. Check it out. This isn't a commercial. Guys, that concludes my video for today. If you guys were a little confused on some of the theory that I was talking about, then I'm going to make a couple more videos to explain more theory concepts and whatnot. This is Stephanie. We're peacing out.
Just gonna wave every time, just like that.
Stephanie, do you like music?
No, hate it.
Me too.